Welcome to another edition of the Hoop Scoop. I'm Jared Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Well, the Marlboro Man, Walker Texas Ranger, whatever it is, I'm digging the new style.
Well,
Joe Yeager,
sure.
probably what, 4.0, 5.0 at this point?
Yeah, and who's to say how many other versions might be out there?
I love it. I love the philosophy, and like I said, I'm digging the Marlboro Man look. But I'm also digging the way Texas Tech is playing basketball right now, and I know there's been some consternation about winning ugly, but bottom line is Texas Tech has won 5 in a row. They've won 4 of those, the last 4, by double digits. This is all in Big 12 play, and it's not the toughest part of the schedule. That is coming up. But overall, Monty Joe, what are your thoughts on the way Texas Tech is playing following that 71-57 victory over TCU Wednesday night?
Yeah, I think as the team has become uglier, in some ways it's become better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what matters. Improvement, wins.
Yeah.
And basically, I mean, Texas Tech has just gotten a heck of a lot better on the defensive end. 4 of their last conference wins, they've held their opponent to 57 points or below.
Wow.
I mean, that's like Texas Tech 2019 numbers,
right.
Houston Cougar numbers, something like that. And it hasn't been pretty. It's not beautiful basketball by any stretch of the imagination. But I mean, would you rather be ugly and winning or beautiful and losing? There's no question about it. So I'm happy with the transformation. Surprised a little bit. I really didn't see this coming. Obviously, you knew that Coach McCaslin wanted to get better on the defensive end and rebounding and becoming more physical and all that stuff. But it's rare that you see it actually transpire this dramatically, this quickly, the way it has. So it's pretty remarkable.
There's a couple of trends and things I want to talk about too. And your Yeager stats were awesome coming off the win over TCU. I loved them. But I don't know if I agree. And I didn't agree with, this happens a lot, with a lot of the posters in terms of Tech playing poorly, so to speak. Like, I knew TCU and Jamie Dixon was going to come in. And I know, I mean, you follow Big 12 basketball even more than I do. But knowing Jamie Dixon and knowing the way TCU likes to play Tech, especially here recently, when they had won 3 out of the last 4 going into that game Wednesday night, that they were going to try and, as you say, muck it up. And they did. And Texas Tech was down. They're like, let's go. We're ready for the physical play.
Right.
And they won that way. But those skill players, even without Darian Williams, were just too much for TCU. That and the fact TCU can't shoot free throws with it.
Yeah.
But I thought, here's something that you've been clamoring for. I know you asked Coach McCaslin about a couple of times, and we've seen it kind of slowly happen. But Federico and JT Toppin playing together at the same time. They even started the game with Darian Williams being out. And they become a much better defensive team when those two guys are on the court at the same time. And I don't know, like, to me, I didn't naturally assume that just because of the size and everything. But you have a elite rim protector in Federico, and then JT Toppin's in the top, I think, 10 in block shots, if not top 5 in the Big 12. So, and then you throw in Elijah Hawkins, I think he's in the top 10 in steals in the Big 12, and him and Christian Anderson playing better on-ball defense. All of a sudden, I think there's your improvement.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, those are very good points. It's not just always a case of, the light switch being flipped and then suddenly, as the cliche goes, and everybody suddenly getting it.
Yeah.
And that's the explanation. I mean, yeah, sometimes it's something like just a rotation change, and playing certain guys together, different lineups, and you find out what works. And so, yeah, that would account, I think, when you're talking about playing the 2 bigs, not only for the defensive improvement, but also maybe not having quite the flow on offense that you would. Because, I mean, Texas Tech, as they've been playing better defense, their scoring has gone down as well. I mean, Tech was hitting around 85 points a game, and with some of these wins lately, they've been scoring in the mid-60s or something like that. So there is a sort of parallel decline with the offense, and you just don't have the quickness out there on offense and as many guys ringing the perimeter, shooting the rock super well when you got the 2 bigs in there. I mean, Fede's not going to step out there and hit anything. Really, Toppin didn't either. Fede doesn't shoot free throws very well, so you're going to lose little points that way. But, yeah, I think the defensive improvement can be attributed largely to that. and it's probably add up the pluses and minuses, and it's probably worth it.
Here's another thing I don't have a problem with, which I've seen people complain about. And hey, it's your fandom. I'm just debating. This is like we're at the barbershop. But Tech shot a lot of threes against TCU. I think somebody at some point posted it was 60% of the shots were from deep. Honestly, that's by design. Going back to several coaching staffs, like the analytical approach that, especially if you have a good shooting three-point team and you're still sharing the ball, coaches want that just because obviously 3 is more than 2. You know, I mean, it's just kind of, they've done a lot of studies in college basketball and in the NBA, that's why you see it, that if you have efficient shooters, a team that still moves the ball well, that shooting more threes is not such a bad thing. Now, that goes against a lot of, I guess, thought process from old school, but that is by design, and Tech's winning doing that, and they're one of the best three-point shooting teams. And I haven't seen, it's a lot of ands, but I haven't seen Tech, like, guys force up too many bad shots, unless it's just a bad possession and it's into the shot clock. I mean, they're getting good looks, they're winning games, they're making it a high clip, and not only that, I think it opens up things for Jay Toppin on the inside, so, and vice versa. Him stacking these great games he's been stacking. I mean, I think you wrote about it too. He's getting doubled more often than he used to be, and I mean, that's opening things up for all those perimeter players.
Yeah, I mean, that approach works when you have the personnel to make it work.
Yeah.
You know, and Tech does. Tech does. I mean, Walton, you see what he can do.
Yeah, that was good to see.
Good to see. When he gets a look, and then you got Chance McMillan. You got Elijah, who's not a bad three-point shooter. I mean, he hoists it up and knocks it down sometimes. And other guys as well. So, I mean, you got Overton, like 4. Overton as well. Yeah. Overton's one of those guys, funny, because every time he shoots, I think he's going to miss it.
I know.
But then he goes in quite a bit, and I'm pleasantly surprised. But, yeah, you got to have the personnel to make it work. Texas Tech, for the most part, does. The one caveat I would say to this is that I still think overall the best approach is to have a diversified offense. You want to be able to score in a lot of different ways, because those shots aren't always going to be dropping.
Yeah.
You know, and then what happens? Yeah. What do you go to? I think you need guys who can do it in the mid-range, guys who can get all the way to the cup. You want to be able to score in transition, do it a little bit with your defense so that you have some options in case the deep shot isn't going. McCaslin has said it himself, we want to shoot a lot of three-point shots. That's what we are.
Yeah, and, you know, I do think Tech is diversified in terms of you get the high screen and roll game. Federico has really become a lob problem for opposing defenses. Obviously, you can always throw down the block to JT. When Darian Williams is healthy, he's another guy who can create his own shot, just back dude's lighter in the pants, as you'd say, down. And when he's right, he's formidable as an offensive player, not just as a scorer, but as a passer. So, and then Elijah breaks a lot of guys down too off that high screen and roll game. So, and then Christian Anderson. I mean, I can go on and on. I do think they're diversified. They're just a really dang good three-point shooting team, and they want to shoot a lot of three-point shots. But I think we covered the defense and the offense. It was great to see Kerwin Walton play very well against TCU. For him, step up when they needed him. Now, so far on paper, and I think by any measure, Texas Tech faces its toughest game of the season to date at Houston. The Cougars are 9-0, 6th ranked in the Big 12, 6th in the country. I think they've won 13 Big 12 games in a row, dating back to last season. So it's just a dominant ball club, great program, and it's in their house, Mighty Joe. So what's your preview of that game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a nightmare, not just for Tech, for anybody. You know, I mean, the situation is compounded if Darian Williams can't go.
Yeah.
Which we don't know. I mean, he was in a boot last night, which doesn't sound good, but you hope that's just precautionary, and you know we want to immobilize it and do everything possible to get him ready so maybe he can go. If not, I mean, you played with 7 guys last night.
Yeah.
That's just not, I'm afraid, going to work against Houston. They wear you down too much. They are too physical. 7 guys is just not enough. I mean, if you roll out there with 7 guys and you don't play Yalaho, or if Darian Williams isn't able to go, then you may be able to hang with it for a while, but at some point, maybe 8 minutes to play in the game, you're going to just start running out of steam, and Houston is deep.
Yeah.
They can go legitimately 10 guys deep, and that 10th guy is going to be a really good player. So that's a problem. They need Darian Williams in the worst way if they're going to have a shot at this thing. Now, beyond that, I mean, there are so many things you can point to as problems with this Houston team, but probably at the top of the list is turnovers. I mean, turnover differential. Houston only turns the ball over about 9 times per game, which is outstanding. But they force around 15 turnovers per game. So that's a big differential, and it gives them a huge advantage. You're shutting down the other team, turning them over, denying scoring opportunities, and creating opportunities for yourself in transition off a lot of ball turnovers. So that's a huge deal there. And so how do you deal with this and not turn the ball over? I mean, you're worried about their physicality. That's what causes so much of the turnovers. I don't think Houston's guards, with the exception of Malik Wilson, who used to play at Texas Tech, great defensive guard, one of the best in the Big 12, and a physical player as well, even though he's not the biggest dude. But the problem is not so much Houston's guards being physical. The problem is they switch out, and those frontline guys can get out and guard guards the way guards do. And they are very physical. You're talking about Javier Francis, Juwan Roberts, JoJo Tugler, all those guys in the 6'6" to 6'8" range, rugged defenders. And if they're out there on those guards, that's, I think, where you're going to have problems and going to have some turnover issues to deal with. So, I mean, regardless of who's available, the Texas Tech guards have got their plate full, and, they've got to be ready to deal with that.
Yeah, and Tugler is amongst the leaders of block shots in the Big 12, too. So that guy, and Roberts, those guys are problems. They've won so many games in a row. They're a top 10 team for a reason. And they're very difficult, especially there in Houston, with their physical play, with the way the game is called. I think D5 not playing, D5 comes back for a game like this. He's gotten bigger. He's added muscle to his frame, the poise, all those things that you'd like for him to play. But I'm also kind of conflicted. I don't want him to go out there, maybe re-aggravate it, have it linger, because you have some other, Arizona, Baylor, some other big games coming up. It's almost kind of like, you better make sure that he's close to being, not 100. I don't know how many guys are 100% at this point, but you know what I mean? You don't want it to linger for a long time. But that's 5 p.m. Saturday, number 22 Texas Tech at number 6 Houston, in-state Big 12 rivalry, and I can't wait. I know it's going to be tough, but I can't wait to see how Texas Tech handles this challenge in Houston. But Mighty Joe, man, great stuff from you as always. Thank y'all for watching, and until next time.